live record here.
Yeah, that's right.
So I thought those could be jumping off points. Then we could talk about what a prick George Wein is within time, getting on and off stage, and it can go from there. But, so that would be a starting off point. Maybe like 63 with Train might be a way to start.
Yeah.
What Miles Davis tribute?
I don't know. Somebody's playing Miles' music. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Is the camera on now?
Who was that?
Yeah.
Well,
But you don't have to look at us.
well, no, good. You remember the last time we played here, Ron?
Yeah, it was Dizzy Gillespie, Walter Davis Jr., Louis Bellson,
Louis Bell? That's right.
me and you.
That's right.
What year was that?
I
Aha.
don't know what the year it was.
At least 6 years ago. At least 6 years ago.
More than 6.
8?
Yeah, it could be like that, yeah.
And we were in the trailer over there. He was writing me to change us out to, what, 10 Day or something like that.
Dale, that was the Disney thing. He and Channel Pogo wrote that.
Yeah, and he was writing it on the back of a cocktail napkin because no one had any paper back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
something.
Yeah.
And Tintin Dale was like, I think, Channel. It was really his thing, but Diz put a bridge to it or something. So it says da 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 da, and then oh Tintin. That's the way Channel sounded, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, frankly, I don't remember coming up here
You don't?
with Art Blakey. Even though I probably did, but it's
Yeah.
so long ago.
But you
came up
came
here
up-
with a jazz 10, I think, which was with Art Farmer and Benny Golson and Curtis Fuller, or maybe let me see who was on drums. Tootie Heath was on drums, and there was a guy named whose initials was MF or Mart Fager.
Yeah.
Is that possible that he was up
Yeah,
here?
Mort Fagan.
Yeah,
Could have been.
I remember him,
Yeah.
and that was quite but it was so long ago, Newport is 50 years old, which is, that alone blows my mind, But I went on the Newport 50th year anniversary tour this year in 2004, along with you.
Yeah.
And it was a long tour, and it was on a bus, and it was in this country. And I had just gotten a cell phone, and I didn't know about roaming charges. So when I got home, my bill was $900.
Roaming.
And so now, since I've been home, the bill has been on, like 60 or something. But I didn't know about this yellow light went on. I said, well, I guess it's all right. And even when somebody would call me, it cost a fortune. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with Newport, I don't guess. Yes, it does, because it was a Newport tour, yeah. So anyway, that's my most recent memory of Newport. But the Jazz Messengers tribute, somebody decided that there should be a trombone, Roy Hargrove, who was never never with the Messengers, and 2 altos and a rhythm section. Boy, and I was furious until I calmed down. I said, well, because I knew I'd have to skip. I can't say that, and then have them make up. It'll sound like Stravinsky answering me, even Alban Berg, one of those guys. Anyway, Bartok. So I'm gonna have to write out some notes. I got my little piano in the room. So whoever that guy is who thought of that orchestration words. Anyway, his explanation was that, those two, Donald Harrison and Bobby Watson, were so thrilled that they just had to come here. And George is up for it. I said, okay, man, all right, but just remember, if I get my hands on you. So anyway, I hope we can have fun. We only have 45 minutes. Sunday morning, those of you who are interested, 11 to 11:45. You'll hear me saying that.
And hope that this down.
Yeah. Hope that comes out right.
Before noon.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's going to be a head arrangement, man. And I just hope they have their heads still on right, you know. 'Cause some of them are arriving quite late, I heard. But anyway, this is a marvelous festival, the first jazz festival in history. Now we have hundreds across the world. And somehow I didn't realize that, but that's true.
Yeah, but
It's
this is like
still the king of them.
still the king of them, I
King
think.
festivals, yeah.
And I won't forget, like we were in Japan. We were in what was the name of that place in Japan when Diana died?
Princess?
Yeah, remember you were there. You were there, Roy. You remember because you and Elvin. Remember they had the drum thing.
It sounds like somewhere in where
Shachahachi
in Japan, actually.
in Japan. Yeah, you remember?
I don't remember that one.
You don't remember?
I don't think so.
Oh man, what's the name of it? Honey?
Alvin was there, and I was.
Listen.
Oh, I think I remember. Yeah, I
That's
remember
right.
now.
You were there because
Coming back to me now. There's several drummers on that.
Because
Yeah.
I remember saying to myself, boy, those guys really sound good, man. There were like, I think, 5 or 6 drummers, and each one would play. And it would all be different, but it would be great. Yeah. You know, and I thought that was
Oh, yeah, I
nice.
remember that. I
That
think-
was Newport.
That was Newport also.
Oh, yeah. Newport,
Yeah, it all comes back to me now.
Yeah.
I think I started first. Then they had some of the younger drummers, and they ended up with Elvin and his jazz machine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, with Wynton drummer. You remember Wynton Marcellus, his drummer from New Orleans.
Oh,
Can't
really?
think of his name now. He played with the big band, yeah. But I've always enjoyed coming up here. Like every time I've been here, I think we've been on this stage. Yeah, this. But like then, as the years pass, you don't come every year, and then your mind starts getting CRS. You know, can't remember stuff.
Tell me about it. Can't remember nothing, right?
I remember '71 when they had the last of the riots. I was here with
Really?
the bass violin choir.
Oh, man.
And they had these fences strung out over here, just like those over there.
Yeah.
And it seems that this council had decided that rather than have the concerts continue till Sunday, they would stop them Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. You know, and there's so many people who were hanging out on the other side of the fence who wanted to get into the concert.
Right.
And they just tore the fences down, man. And it was terrible, man.
Oh,
it was
man.
just awful.
An invasion.
Oh, man. I mean,
Was that the time Frank Sinatra was here?
I don't know, but the bass violin choir played like at 5 o'clock that evening. You know, Bill Lee and Milt Hanton and Richard Davis and Sam Jones and Lyle Atkinson and Michael Fleming. She sang that. She was maybe that night,
And that's when it started.
and after she finished singing, man, there's this big crush of people, you know, and they shut this bad boy down, man. They closed it.
Yeah.
You know, and then my next experience with Newport was in New York during the Herbie Hancock retrospective. Eventually, it came to be a VSOP.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that came out of that Newport Jazz Festival at City Center in New York. Yeah.
The real McCoy.
Yeah. I think the first time I played Newport was with the late great John Coltrane. And I think Cardinal O'Connor, was the MC that night, you know. And I remember doing this long version of My Favorite Things. And Roy Haynes was on drums. And
So that was the 18-minute version of.
yeah, you reminded me. Yeah, that's right. That was great, right? And then I came back up and I did a recording here, you know. But it was great. Clark Terry, Charlie Mariano, Bob Crenshaw, and Mickey Roker. Actually, I was playing with John in Montreal. And I remember, because I had to fly one of those single-engine planes. I had to fly into Boston, and then from there get a plane to come here. And we were bouncing around up there in the air for a while. And the third time I remember playing the festival was at the White House with Jimmy Carter. And I think Ron was there.
Yeah.
I think you were there. Were you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Well.
My first time playing with Dave Brubeck.
The first time playing with Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
We rehearsed to play this tune with Lyle Hampton
Yeah.
and keys and the changes, and we get to the bandstand, man, this guy starts playing Misty. And they's looking at me like this, man, and you know, because I had the bass, I can do like this, you know. And I said, well, Dave, let's get to the bridge and maybe work this bad boy out.
Yeah, because Jimmy was a wonderful host. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really great. And there's so many people there, Dexter Gordon, and Negus, and Sonny Rollins. I mean, it was fantastic. And he said I used to hang out in the village when I was going to college in New York.
Yeah.
And he sang Soft Peanuts with Diz. I mean,
Well, that was the peanut president.
Peanuts, yeah, he made
I was here with I think it was with Diz and Alex Haley. Remember that? What was his saxophone player's name? That played out.
Oh, I know you know.
They found him in the Hudson River.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
Albert Island.
Albert Island. So Joe Fowle and I, we were there. So Albert Island was playing, and Joe Fowle looked at me and says, "Man, he practices that way." And I mean, he was doing it, boy. You know what, boy? I said, "Yeah, I guess he does."
That was the guy that they found in East River,
Yeah,
Albert Island?
yeah, yeah. He's the one that he sang at Twain. You remember at Twain's funeral? Were you at Twain's funeral?
I was there, yeah.
I couldn't get in.
Were you there, Ron?
No.
That was St. Peter's Church.
You remember? They said Albert Island. He said, you remember that?
No.
I do. That's how he started off, man. And he chanted for a while after that. And then after a while, he took his horn and said, oh, and started playing.
Oh,
He chanted for a long time, man.
Getting back to the 18-minute version of Coltrane, my favorite things here at Newport, I remember George Wein had put on Us Last, you know, because naturally Coltrane was long-winded. So we went on last, and by the time the set was over, the place was half empty. Half of the people had left. And it's something now, all of these years later, to read that that was one of the popular events of the festivals. And, you know, Coltrane was way ahead of the people, you can tell. I mean, the place was empty by the time we finished. I remember we played maybe that same week or the week before, we played in Montreal, Canada, a place called La Tetalade, where you had to walk up the stairs. Coltrane was living at the hotel maybe across the street, and he'd come in late, and he'd have his horns out of the bag on his arms, sopranos and the tenor and the whole thing, and it looks like he just woke up, his hair wasn't combed. He'd get on the bandstand and just play like for an hour and a half maybe, take a break. During the break, he'd sit at the piano, and that was your cue to come back to the bandstand. All of those times I was filling in for Alvin, which I'll never forget. So nice to be on the bandstand with you.
Deja vu.
Well, you know, the people that heard Coltrane before, the so-called critics, they panned him. And they panned him because, like I couldn't even understand what it was he was doing, you know, but I didn't panic. I wanted to find out what it was, you know. And what happened was one of the guys, they panned him. Now, when they hear someone sound something like that, they say, oh, how great it is and whatnot. But they're just doing that because they want to cover their advantage. But they really don't know because they're saying other things that sound similar to something that Coltrane did is a great thing, you know. In the first place, man, like getting the critics, man, I don't see why, like, if you don't know music, don't tell me, oh, I got good ears. I mean, what has a musician got? You know, he's got good ears, so he has the license to tell you, you know, what's good and what's bad.
I tell the readers.
The way I look at it is, if I want to tell you something good, like, and I'm able to emulate that, do it, fine. If I want to tell you something's bad, I got to be able to do it exactly like you do it, and then I can say I don't like it. Until I can do that, until I can do that, I don't have a license to say anything. Keep your mouth shut and practice. Right? Yeah.
But a lot of the, pardon the expression, critics, a lot of them are frustrated artists anyhow. They may have been an instrument that they wanted to play, and maybe they become a little bitter because they weren't able to really deal with it. Whatever, I wouldn't want to be in that position to really criticize of anything, music or whatever.
Right.
That's, I don't know. They got a lot of courage.
Yeah.
From a Newport standpoint,
Ah,
Roy, you were talking about at lunch. There's a lot of shit I could say, but it might be negative.
well, that was part of it right there.
Well, why don't you start off on that?
Well, I can't. I gotta feel it as I go and as I flow. It's the same way I try to play the music. You just can't. I don't have a certain thing in mind. I may, and I just work from there. I can't be, wind up and say go, go, go. I'm not like that. It's not in me. So I gotta feel it, and as I feel the spirit, I'm gonna try to shout.
Yeah. One thing is that festivals they're not like clubs where you get to do 2 sets, 3 sets. And it's not like a concert where there's a start time and intermission and you come back. It's like one set and it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Is that a drag or is that good? I mean,
You know what it's like? It's like an old home week. Because no matter where you go, you won't see anyone. I haven't seen Roy or McCoy or Ron or Cedar. I mean, I saw Cedar recently, but usually you don't see each other. Then when you get to the festival, everybody sees, so it's a big, joyful reunion, and you have a ball. And so that's why a lot of times you look forward, especially to the Newport Jazz Festival,
One of the nice things about this festival, this 50th anniversary festival, is one of the few ones where everybody speaks the same language. This is one of the first
Right.
most complete
Come to think of it,
jazz
right.
festivals
Yeah.
that they've had in a very, very long time.
Right.
I did the festival and a couple of festivals in Europe last year with Billy Cobham's trio. Man, they had 5 days of jazz festivals, and we was on a jazz band.
All right,
And
yeah.
I'm asking this guy, man, where's everybody else? He said, well, gee, we want to kind of get the people. I said, man, what people? There are like 12 people out here listening to this pop band. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to that? So it's nice to be here in Newport on this 50th anniversary occasion to see that the program as we've read it, and we will see people, and they're all jazz acts. And it's important that Newport 2004, as the originator of these jazz festivals, once again put his foot down and say, hey, we started this way in the year 1954, and we find 50 years later that this combination of jazz acts, not jazz acts and Gladys Knight, or not jazz acts and whoever the latest non-jazz band is, but these people who have devoted their lives to this music have in fact earned the right to be on the jazz program with fellow jazz musicians and rely on their talent and our advertising skill to advertise enough means to have this place filled with just these jazz guys being the attraction. And it's nice to see that George Wein has stepped out front again, man, and said, okay, now this festival, it's just jazz guys, man. We're not relying on
The Pips.
we're not relying on the Blood, Sweat, and Beers and all those bands who are non-jazz bands to help the people come to hear this music. And it's nice to see that we can still do it, man, if we give a place to make this music in a presentable environment. And
Yeah.
thank you, George Wein.
Yes, sir. Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Now I'm not so
And
worried
George.
about that. I know they'll play the right notes.
Yeah. Thank you, George Wein.
That's right. Yeah, I think because
Another thing about the Newport Jazz Festival, the people seem to more like get with it, boy. They're like, you're playing and they're with you. Like, they don't just sit there like this. You can see them there, And that's nice. I like that.
well, I think because George plays piano too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves to play. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
yeah,
So that's a.
But still, the piano wasn't in tune last night.
Well, yeah.
Could have been a little more.
Yeah, I think it will be tomorrow.
Well, speaking of jazz and the whole thing, what I would like to see happen is, like last night before we went on, that was the Black Tie Gala event. We didn't really have time, and the people were, I think McCoy started out with a piano solo. The people were eating, and they got noisy, and they didn't really come to attention at that point. But when the other little guy from London went on, you know, he had their attention, maybe because he went on earlier.
He was singing.
Well, he was singing too, but yeah, singing and playing. But I would like to see them give the jazz groups a little more time to warm up and get together and maybe tune up.
Right.
And also adjust, you know, with the sound. And like last night, I wanted more in my monitor, which was on my left, so I could really hear and get a good balance with the piano and the bass as well. I couldn't do that last night. I was like on my own playing by radar. And I think because when a lot of the other groups that were not particularly jazz would go on, they would have all the time in the world to set up, go through the sound check, and do everything. And I think they should give that respect to the jazz as well and let us relax and go on and get settled and play instead of rushing us on for a few minutes and rushing us off.
You know, I think the other thing that happened was not only was this guy early on in the program, but I think the audience wasn't encouraged necessarily to say that, well, yes, this is a dinner, this is a fundraiser for this historic preservation event of Newport to preserve all the homes and the history, you know, and I think we all understood that we were not playing at a Carnegie Hall concert or a Lincoln Center concert, and that was, in fact, dinner was in fact being served, and there was in fact desserts and everything that goes with it. But I think if they had been encouraged to kind of keep it down to a roar, so those are the people there who did want to hear this music and who were willing to put their forks down long enough to let the band play one song without having to be accompanied with the rhythm of knives and forks in their place.
Yeah.
I think they would have responded in kind, but they weren't encouraged to
do that? Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree with
no one
that.
gave up. No one said, "Hey, we got
Well,
this
it-
band. We got Roy Haynes. Now, how often are you going to see Roy Haynes and play with McCoy Tyner or play with James Moody or whoever the person is? You won't see this, but right here and now." And I would think that if someone calls this to their attention,
Right,
you know,
right.
that they would say, "Well, wait, let's just kind of hold down and pass the napkins out right now, so we have a little more quiet." And those who do know Roy Haynes' music, and those who do know McCoy Tyner, and those who do know Moody and Cedar, they'll have a chance to hear these
Ron
people.
Carter.
I mean, okay, but they didn't have that chance because no one told them, "Hey, lighten up, guys."
Yeah,
They put us in this dinner hall mentality, and people responded in kind.
Yeah, I think
can't
Carter
keep-
might have could have stepped in.
So this guy.
Could have helped. He could have helped. He could have said, "Well, anybody who eats will be fined $500." You know, in a joking
Yeah,
manner,
yeah,
but it might have worked.
Yeah.
I think it might have.
Yeah, we really need that though.
Yeah.
We need that respect to happen before the performance.
How about the audience that's here for the 2 days of performances? How do you feel about this audience where you guys are going to play here?
But just like he said, they're with
No,
us.
they came here for the jazz.
There's no
The other
eating.
people, they came to be seen and give some money. You know, there were only a few people there really who knew what was going on jazz-wise. That's my feeling, you know. But like you know, Ron said, and Cedar, like Bill should have said, ladies and gentlemen, we would appreciate it if you would keep it down as quiet as you can while you're eating, in respect to the jazz musicians. That would have been nice.
You guys definitely have a good point. It's just that last night was such an unusual event. You know, it was just a dinner. It's not really representative of what the festival is like generally.
Wait a minute. You sound like you're making allowances for these people to be rude to us, man. I mean, we understand that we're not playing Carnegie Hall. We know we're not playing Lincoln Center or an intimate jazz. We know this is a fundraiser where everyone is supposed to pay a lot of money. I mean, they're buying these big corporations, buying these big tables, and there's a very expensive tables. It doesn't give them the right to be discourteous. And it seems to me they're allowed to be discourteous because they're paying for these big tables. I'm saying, well, look, man, take the money back or find someone else to play.
That wasn't my point about it. It was that even though you're right, and I agree with you 100%, it's an unusual event. It's not something that typically happens here. And it was wrong, but I'd like
I don't want to
Well,
hear.
we had a- we
I
had
don't
a
want to hear that. It's,
moderator,
yeah, I don't
Mr.
want to hear that
Cosby.
it's not typical, man. I mean, respect is what you get it. Why must we need a special event to have people be respected and responsive, not just to our livelihood as jazz players, but as people? I mean, we're saying that it's okay, and I don't mean to single out you, singular, but people say that since this is a fundraiser, and the first thing on the people's agenda is to have a good time with their friends and buy the ticket, that's not enough. You know, the whole purpose of this fundraiser is to, in this case, raise funds for this historical preservation society. Well, it seems to me that since we're seem to be a dying breed and we want to preserve us, and you're not doing that by talking while we play.
And if they were investors, they should at least listen to what they're investing in. You know, if I had paid $10,000 for a table, I certainly want to see what I'm, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
But that's the way they treat this music.
Yeah.
Jazz, so-called jazz. They treat it like that. Now, even when we perform tonight or tomorrow, whenever we do, if they give us a chance to relax and they talk to the audience a minute in a positive way, I think that would help out a little bit. Like you're saying, maybe Bill Cosby should have, you know, warned them that we were coming on and we were going to play. Like McCoy was starting out with a solo, and then it was going to be a duo with Ron, and let the people relax, because I couldn't hardly hear them. Right. I was still in the audience then. And that's a sample of what could happen during the performance other than the gala. You know, we have to think of that. Instead of rushing us on, telling us how many minutes we got, you know, try to get the sound together. Give us a few minutes to relax and get together.
I think that's what Michael was getting at when he was talking about the festival.
Well, you got 45 minutes. If it doesn't work, see you next year, maybe. You know, and that's the chance you take by, but you know, you try to make a presentation that there's not only musical value within your group, but the presentation encourages people to seek you out when you're working at a club in New York or a club in Chicago or somewhere else, so that they get this group's appearance times three sets tonight, or times 2 hours rather than the 45 minutes that the concerts have to allow, because there's so many people. The concert contains so many groups that for all of them have a fair share of time to make their musical presentation. You know, you got 45 minutes to an hour. And then, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you got to cut this stuff out, man. People don't want, the neighbors, the boards, the townspeople, they got a limit on the time that they can have this outdoor extravaganza taking place within their town boundaries. It's unfortunate that they feel that jazz is noise, and that there are not enough people who are in this town who will accept, you know, a McCoy Tyner piano solo, or Roy Haynes playing brushes or drums at 12 o'clock at night. Why is that not okay? You know, for the community to be able to partake in this kind of environment, even if they aren't at this setting right here, if they're crossed, or in the boats out here. I mean, tomorrow when we play, there'll be sailboats all along here, man. People who are doing their own thing, cruising for the weekend in the boats and picnicking on the water, and maybe can't get in because there's no space, but they find this music enjoyable. You know, why can't they enjoy it when it gets dark out? You know, I mean, why is that? So, you know, I look forward to playing these events because I don't see James every 2 years. You know, I see Roy in New York, but I don't hear him play because I'm either working or he's working at the same hours, you know. And I like McCoy. I just like to hear him play more. But if I'm working, he's on Europe, man. So these concerts for me, especially this Newport festival, I get a chance to see these guys and tell them I miss seeing them. I don't have that chance. I want to say, I miss seeing you. Or, where have you been? How come I haven't talked to you? Or, when can we play together again? And these festivals, for me, allow me that level of communication to take place that otherwise I would never get a chance to do. Not that I don't want to. These guys are gone. I mean, they're all, McCoy's in Europe, Roy's, you know, polishing his cars, Cedar's on the road in Europe, James is out in Los. I don't see these guys, except at these Newport type festivals. So I do them to say hello to these guys.
Family.
And for a pay. Primarily to see these guys. And I want to say that to
nice
you,
point.
man.
One
Yeah.
thing,
We never know from day to
Newport
day.
is impeccably one of the most beautiful settings. Well, Antibes is fine, you know, it's pretty, you know, but this is a beautiful setting, man. You know, with beautiful cats.
Does that inspire you as a musician because you got such a pretty place to play?
Pardon me?
Is that inspirational as a musician?
Oh,
that
of
you're
course
playing
it
indoor
is.
displays?
Of course it is. A beautiful environment means you're like beauty, but a funky environment begets funk. That's the truth. You know. No, I don't mean funk. I mean funk.
We go around and since it's the 50th and none of you guys are that old, but
What did you say?
Why are you pointing over here? None of you guys are I'm actually the oldest. I got this guy beat by maybe some months.
He got me beat by 13 days.
13, that's all?
He'll be 80 in March, and I'll be 80 in March. March the 13th and me the 26th.
Yeah. I think that in itself is can you imagine that, man? It's hard for me to imagine that I'm going to be that age in 7 months.
I can hardly say it.
I'm still here. In fact, George Wein and I, we met as teenagers in Boston. Talking about maybe 1943. No, he didn't have no Storyville then.
Really?
Storyville didn't happen until the 50s. I'm talking about 1943, 44.
Wow.
Yes, that's how long we've known each other. But you wouldn't really think so, would you?
You look great.
Could you?
I don't mean by that. I'm talking about George Wein. I mean, he's cool.
I met George in Paris.
Huh?
The first time I met George was in Paris.
In Paris?
Yes.
Well,
And
he
we
bought
spoke
property in
and
France, the south
yeah.
of France,
Yep.
before me.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I went in 1940.
And he was playing piano. When we met, he was trying to be a pianist, and I was trying to be a drummer. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. No, go. Yeah.
George, where are you?
so what was the first year? Who did you play Newport with the first time? And what was the first year you all played?
First time I played with Dizzy. The second and third, fourth time I played with Dizzy too. And then one time there I played by myself, you know, with some other group.
Yeah, you were fortunate.
But always, but always with Dizzy. No matter, the thing is I've been all over the world, and I've been all over the world because of Dizzy. And everywhere I went, Dizzy took me there first, for exception of France. And after Dizzy passed, and I'd go to these different places, it took a little toll because it was kind of sad for me to go and know that there was no Diz, you know. But there is a Diz, so got to look at it that way too, you know.
I came in first with the Jazz Ted, and it's just a vague memory. I didn't come here that often, which was Art Farmer and Benny Golson. We played here, and I got MF, a guy named Mart Fagan.
You like that, don't you?
I guess so. Anyway,
My friend.
he was.
Mart Fagan.
He announced us. We went on, played, and went off. That's all I remember. You know, so I wish I could elaborate, but it's been quite a while ago. It was in the 60s. So how many years ago is that? I can't even do the math.
Too many numbers. Like 44, but let's give our hands together and go like this. Right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
I played here with Miles in '66, I think, with Herbie and Tony and Wayne. It's kind of difficult for me because when you say Newport, do you mean Newport as we know it, or the JVC that took over in New York after a while? I mean, I played there, the JVC with Herbie's band.
Right.
I played back here in '71 with the New York-based Violin Choir. So I've done a lot of these Newport/JVC festivals
Cool
in the
festival
past.
too?
Yeah, the Cool Festival. I mean, I've done the Randall's Island Festival with the that George Wein was responsible for. So I have done a lot of these things because I've been kind of more of a freelancer than these other big musicians have been. But again, you know, what impresses me about this 50th anniversary festival is that it's an all jazz festival. And George Wein is, or the promoters, George Wein is, I guess, fits that title. They're not relying on the names from the Billboard Top 25 to fill these seats out here, man. Or boats to fill the bay. You know? And my check is cleared, so I know it's okay.